Hi, this is Shauna, the CEO and founder of Fuel Talent. In January 2019, we launched the What Fuels You podcast, and since that time, I have had the honor of featuring and highlighting leaders and their incredible stories. Though I'm eager to continue sharing these stories with you, I want to make space for different and relevant content for this unique and challenging time. While we all navigate the COVID-19 pandemic together, on this podcast and the upcoming ones, I'll be having more focused conversations with leaders to help answer questions, get key insights, and share stories of inspiration around how they and their teams are adapting during this new reality. I hope you enjoy these episodes of the What Fuels You podcast. Today on this special episode of the What Fuels You podcast, I have Ian Morris joining me again. Ian is the co-founder and CEO of Likewise, an innovative startup backed by Bill Gates that's reimagining the way that people find great recommendations. Though the COVID-19 pandemic is impacting everybody's business in some way, the stay-at-home order and closure of recreational facilities like tennis that we like to do together, right? We want to do together, is resulting in a tremendous jump in users on Likewise platform. I can only imagine that you guys are getting nailed. Welcome back, Ian. I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you for having me here. It's good to see you.
And how are you dealing? Because you're a mover and shaker and a guy who likes to exercise and like do. How are you handling this time at home?
I'm doing okay. I mean, I think it's a time where it is hard on everyone. I think it's also a time to count our blessings, where I do feel, I already worry about the inequities in the world, and this is a time where you really can't help but look and say, wow, this is tough. It's stressful for everybody, but we're fortunate. We're all doing okay. Everyone's home, and you do what you can do. The weather being nice helps.
Absolutely. It's interesting because I got an email actually from Rabbi Chaim. I don't know if you know him, but right around Passover, and I read it talking about the matzah, and it was talking about the beginning of the matzah, beginning of the Seder. You look at the matzah at the end, and how basically the change is around perspective, and how when you were talking about the fact that we have all these blessings, it has been a gift to be able to look at things and realize that that is a gift to even be able to have that perspective of all we need is our shelter, our food, our health being first, and our family and love, music. And we need some Likewise, because we're all at home and we're all trying to figure out when we're not, making TikTok videos and cooking. At least with the kids, we need access to some sort of suggestions for streaming and all the other things that you provide. So tell us a little bit more about Likewise for those who don't know.
Sure. I mean, it is a challenging time for everyone and for the world. Likewise, this is something that is definitely helping and focused on helping in all this. I mean, Likewise has been created to help people make the most of their recreational time, find the best TV shows and movies to watch, books to read, podcasts to listen to, restaurants normally to go out to. Now we're doing a lot about, pick up and take home, who's delivering and things like that, and places to go. So Likewise is all about finding the best recommendations through a combination of your social network, so seeing what your friends are watching and reading and doing, but also through as you would expect, machine learning and algorithms, and helping you, you've enjoyed these movies and these books, you'll probably enjoy these as well. So it's a combination of the very algorithmic, but more importantly with the very social, because let's face it, in real life, that's what we like most. We want to hear what our friends are watching. Yeah. That's why we created Likewise, was, you have this crowdsourcing in the digital world. It's like, but I don't want to find out what's, strangers are interesting, right, I guess, but like, what are my friends doing? What are people?
Well, and also you realize, like, I was kind of getting anti-Facebook, and I realized, like, when I was missing it, it was because I felt like I was missing out on book recommendations or other things. It's like, this is like, you don't have to be on Facebook and hear all the noise of the annoying things. You can just get what you want if you just go to Likewise. Like, that's all I want to see, is the things that Likewise is providing.
It's interesting you'd say that. When we first, a few months after we launched, the first set of qualitative research we did with users who were really engaged, that was the number one thing that came up, was this concept of almost, one user said, it's almost like the non-social social network. And what they meant, and as they expanded, because at first you're like, wait, what does that mean? Was that it wasn't about, what the Kardashians were doing. It was about the content and what my friends are doing with the content. It was about finding out what other people with similar interests in books are reading. So the content comes first, and that's a very big difference than what you see on Facebook or what you see differently on Instagram and so on.
Yeah. And so how have things okay, so today is, I don't even know what day. Is it April 14th? I think it's April 14th. So the day is April 14th. How have things changed? When did you guys first start working from home? And how has the business changed in the last, I guess, month?
I mean, it's been interesting. I don't remember the actual date, but it was certainly that early March when a lot of people were going through this, when we started telling people they could work from home. And then there were a few stragglers like me who tended to come into the office, and then within a week or so, it was like, no, we all need to work from home. I mean, that creates challenges. The team is doing fantastic. From a business standpoint, while we would all like to get past this stuff, and obviously nobody wants this, the business, it's been great for the business. We were already growing very rapidly as a relatively new company. We had really been booming for months, and now this came out, and we ended up having our biggest month we've had a series of biggest months for installs and registrations. March was the biggest ever, and now we're on pace to blow that away in April. So, people are looking for the next thing to watch, binge, the next thing to read, the podcast list. So it does play right into what we do. And we've had to pivot some things too to really fully capture. So for instance, people were always looking to us to figure out what to binge next, and we have all the streaming content. You find out what to watch and where to watch it and what services, but people didn't think of us for kids content. And then all of a sudden one day, the kids were home from school, and we started getting nonstop searches about kids content. So we went and created and went out and sourced and got a whole bunch of kids content.
Good for you.
Cooking content, fitness content, that kind of stuff, which really was not in our, certainly wasn't center of the bullseye. Nobody really thought about it internally as but those things are on the streaming services. So now we're up 1,500% on people.
Oh my gosh.
Kids content.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I'm like, I wish I had known about I didn't look to think about the kids content, because my kids have been at home that's a whole nother subject.
That's a whole other subject.
A whole other subject. So what has been the most searched content subject? What are people looking at the most? Is it fitness, cooking?
It's actually really interesting. The number one.
I'm not going to say anything naughty. I was about to say something inappropriate.
Yeah, that's those services are probably doing pretty well as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of this just shows you how different people are. The number one list that we have, that I think again is up 1,500%, some crazy number, are 31 shows to watch on Netflix when you're feeling really stressed. But the number two list is the pandemic movie marathon list, which blows my mind. Here,
wait, so what does that mean? Pandemic movie marathon list?
Just have a list of the thing, all the movies and shows about pandemics.
Okay. So I thought, I was like, he can't really be saying that, because I'm the opposite. I get anxious thinking about that.
I would never think to look for that right now. Number two list. Number one is all about de-stressing. Number two is all about more stuff about. I cannot imagine saying, "Oh, you know what I want to watch right now?
Let me stress myself out.
CNN and let's watch Outbreak." But that is the number two list. And then we've got lists best reality shows when you need a break from reality. Things like that are just
interesting.
booming.
My brother called last night, and we were talking about what we're doing and how we're spending our time. And they do family movie night every night, which is awesome, because he's got 4 boys at home that are all in high school. So they can kind of watch the same content. We've got 15-year-old boy, 10-year-old girl, they don't necessarily want to watch, or we don't allow them to watch the same things.
Yeah.
So family movie night is finding that perfect happy medium. But he was binging on 80s movies that he loved and wanted his kids to love.
Right.
And yeah, I'm sure you have something for everyone.
We're struggling personally, same issue as you, having 20 and 17-year-old girls and a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah.
everyone wants to watch, but we want to be together, the 5 of us, and you start going, all right.
Yeah, family time doesn't, you don't have to measure like, oh, we're good, nice, healthy family because we're all together. It's just like, you go watch that and I will be, I mean, I'm guessing he probably just wants to play Xbox anyway, right?
He does, but we're trying to find those bounds where, where it's actually been fun making lists like that, where it's like, Ferris Bueller. We can all enjoy Ferris
What's
Bueller.
funny about those movies is that they're not, like, they're inappropriate. The movies that were like PG when we were little, I find myself like cringy a little bit, like, oh my gosh, there's some of them are kind of like Ferris Bueller has some inappropriate moments, but I love that movie. It's a good one. That's such a good one. So what about things that, like working out or cooking? Like what are people searching those things?
Yes. And we really had not focused there. So we went and got and created and started spurring, users to create a bunch of content around cooking. It's actually interesting. There is a lot of cooking and fitness content on the streaming services that we just never really thought about before. People tended to be looking to us for shows to binge and movies to watch and things like that, books to read. But lo and behold, the streaming services do have a lot of this content. So now it was about aggregating it. And what you see is we have a feature on Likewise called, very creatively called the Ask feature.
I love that.
Just lets anybody go up and post. So what we saw was a lot of users going up and posting, hey, can anyone recommend some great cooking shows? I have Netflix and people going and storming and kind of putting up all the stuff. So people love that. And it's also a great indicator for us of where we need to supplement content, because you see the interest instantly. And that started happening with kids content, with cooking content, with fitness content.
Yeah.
So we saw a lot of that.
So you're talking a lot about content, which I love, and it's making me want to like not work today and just go on Likewise all day long, which would feel kind of like work. I'm like, wait, it's like my post research.
I approve of that message.
Thank you. But how are people spending their time the most? What's the most populated category search? Is it podcasts? Is it movies? What are people doing at home?
It's the movies and shows. I mean, all of our user numbers are through the roof. Our recommendation numbers are through the roof, but it is movies and TV shows do dominate, because let's face it, people can, in fairness, even if everyone liked those things the same, which we know they don't, you can take in a lot more movies. Most people aren't going to read a book in 2 hours. I wish I could, but so there's a lot more. There's a lot more going on there. And we've just seen, I think when we did the podcast, I think it was over the summer, we had just crossed over 1 million recommendations on the service. We got the last 1 million recommendations in 11 days. We're over 9 million. So and that was, most of that happened pre all this crisis mess.
Well, I have a couple questions. One, how are people finding out about you aside from, word of mouth? How do people find you?
It is a lot of word of mouth. We are doing some advertising, some search and, digital advertising. We are wondering if we should do more of that. It wasn't in the current business plan, but as you kind of look at like, oh, this is a moment, right? Do we do more? And we have up some digital advertising, and then a lot of it is just word of mouth, people inviting friends like, hey, I would love to know what you're reading and doing, and instead of having all these complicated text strings that you or put on Facebook.
The notes, I have it all in my notes, and I'm like trying to transfer it slowly out of Likewise, and then telling everybody else to do that so that I can just be a little bit more organized about it.
Yeah. And it's so a lot of that is word of mouth. And there's neat things like on Likewise now, I don't even think we didn't have this one last time you and I talked on this, but like now if you have Apple TV, there's a Likewise app on Apple TV. So if you've saved something to watch on Likewise, hey, I want to watch X, Y, and Z, and you turn on your Apple TV, there they are, you click play and it just starts playing it on Netflix or starts playing it on Hulu or on Prime or whatever.
That's so cool.
And you unsave it, it's gone.
We could just never leave our house and just be so happy, just boing, boing, boing. What is the most recommended movie within the movies?
I don't know it offhand.
You know that? I can't wait.
I mean, we know it, but I don't. You got me. I don't know that one offhand. I should have been on that one.
What are other? I mean, I'm sure you've got your cocktail party list
certainly
of things.
Certainly the Tiger. I still haven't watched.
I watched it just to kind of be like hip and cool. It's so lame, dude. Don't.
Is it? Okay. See,
I found it like I was like horrified that I was even spending my valuable time watching it. Watch one and you'll just know that you've watched all.
I always struggle with things like that, because on the one hand, I'm not interested when I hear about it. On the other hand, I always feel like
that's my job.
When something gets that big, when something gets that big in pop culture, should I just, unless it's a total misfit, shouldn't I be able to get the references? I mean, the number of jokes and memes and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, but so did you get all the way through it?
I got all the way through it because I forced myself, because in my mind I was like, I got to be like, yeah, but it was so lame. Don't watch it. I'll give you the clip notes.
You just saved me what, 6 hours?
I saved you 6 hours, and literally watch like 20 minutes and then you'll get it. It's just a bunch of freaks who are really into like tigers and cats, and they're creepy. They're weird people. It's a whole other subculture that we don't need to know about. I don't know. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but
it's okay. We don't have to like everything.
It's definitely no bueno. Tell me about the new thing that you're doing with like personalization.
So we have multiple layers of personalization. So when you come on, when we launched Likewise, it was all about what your friends and trusted sources are recommending. And we knew it would be hard to start something that social from scratch. The reality is even harder than we expected. So what we've had to do, I wouldn't call it a pivot because we're still doing the same things we did when we launched, but what we had to do was take a step back a few months in and say, all right, we clearly need to make this single player mode, this solo user experience better. So we started, getting people up front to, basically make some recommendations, whether that was about movies or books or shows or whatever they liked, and then really built out the algorithms to help people when they to find things they like, and then drive the sharing when they already like. And I'll give you an example. We have a feature that we launched a month or so ago, a little over a month ago, ended up being well timed, where every day when you come in, the home screen is called Today, and we just put in front of you, kind of Tinder style, a bunch of recommendations for you today. And they are driven by a couple of things that people really like. There's a few kinds. There's just personalized recommendations where the machine is looking at what you've liked and recommending a few things. But there are also things where it's just trending content where, it might tell you, as I saw the other day, I haven't seen the movie Parasite. I want to see it. I figured I was going to be doing video on demand one night. And Likewise, one of the things that came up on my Today feed was, we're recommending for you Parasite because it's now streaming free on Hulu. So that wasn't personalized at all, but it's great. I didn't have to go look for that. At the same time, another day, which I absolutely loved, talk about falling in love with your own product. One of the first days after that Today feature popped up and Likewise said, we're recommending you the Bill Simmons podcast, which is a sports podcast, because he has Malcolm Gladwell on it talking about COVID-19 crisis. And I'm like, I would never have known that. I don't listen to the Bill Simmons podcast. I mean, I like it, but I don't listen to it. I would not have known about it.
Yes.
Likewise knows I like Malcolm Gladwell, told me to watch it. So that's the kind of stuff where, whether it's personalized to me or just something where, like, Disney has released a bunch of stuff to Disney Plus in the last few weeks that was not supposed to be available. Our users know that because it's popping up in their feed. So that's the type of value add, whether it's truly personalized to Shauna or just, hey, thought you'd want to know, Oprah added something to her book list, or, things like that, where people are genuinely interested, even if it's not personalized. So we're trying to find the right balance of curation, personalization, and aggregation so that you can just come to one place, keep track of, and a lot of these things, you're not going to drop everything and read that book now, but there's a little save button, you click save, and it's in your save list.
I love it. My brain is going like this right now, by the way. I feel like I need to work at Likewise because I have all these ideas that I'm going to talk to you about right after this. I'm like, oh, you could do that. You could do this. You probably thought of them all.
We're growing.
I wouldn't want to come in as a recruiter. This is like product stuff. I have all these ideas. Clearly, I have a passion for the subject. Who wouldn't? I mean, what a fun and easy, talk about recruiting. What an easy company to sell, because it's not like you're saying, oh, come build these like cloud-based blah blah,
you're one of the few people who appreciates that and sees it up front, like how fun a company this is to run.
Are you kidding?
As CEO, I don't know how to design screens, I don't know how to write code. My job, so much of it is find the right people, get them on the team, get them excited to join and keep them motivated. This product, this company, I mean, here you got a Bill Gates funded startup that is all about making the most of your free time and really,
it's the best.
So it is definitely easier to recruit in this job than anything I've ever worked on before.
Yeah. Well, we've never sent you anybody who hasn't wanted the job. Whether you wanted them, that's a whole other story. But yeah, no, it's true.
You've sent us some really good people who are still on the team. So that's a good
that makes me, I should have probably asked you that. That's a good sign. I like that. So how has it been leading? Is it 30 people?
Yeah.
How has it been leading from afar? This is a new muscle you're flexing. And
yeah, I was very worried. I've not done anything like this before. My experiences with remote, usually it's like you got a person over there and I've never liked it. This has gone really well. I think a lot of it is a testament to the team. A lot of it is a testament to what you just said. This is fun stuff that they can relate to as a person. And some of it is we're spoiled, right? We are a tech company. I feel so bad for people who work in in businesses where they have to be there, whether it's leading a company or working in a company like that. We are spoiled. This has worked very well. Frankly, the crisis has created so much more demand for us and demand for different types of things that we've been in the mode of trying to catch up with the market, which is
well,
really
that helps
good.
With morale also.
It's really good, right? Because people, no one is worrying like, oh, are my people like off just, kind of focused on other things? Like, no, we have deadlines to hit.
For sure.
And people have been great. I mean, I am so impressed with the team right now, their ability to pivot into this like overnight. We were in the middle of a big release when this happened. They went home, we hit all the milestones, and it's continued to be very strong. So I again, blessed, right? Like great team. We have the technology. And
it looks like you've got a really cool office. So you've got a good environment to work in.
Yeah, home office is good. And it's, it's like,
there's just like Larry David. You're like, not too bad.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Well, it's great to see you. I'm super excited to go back onto the app and play around, because I do get the updates and I'm like, it's like so much to do, so little time. Right? For all the things on Likewise.
And that's, a lot of the fun of Likewise is we only have so much recreational time. Now we tend to have more than we used to have. But it's like let's focus it on things that other people are like us who are really enjoying. So I love seeing you on the app, and I hope everyone is on the app.
Well, hopefully some people listen to this, and then you'll get more people.
Yes, I'm sure we will, and then hopefully we all get back outside where we really want to be.
And then we'll go smack the tennis ball around, because I've been wanting to play you for a long time.
Yes, I would love that. It'd
be a blast.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you for listening to the What Fuels You podcast. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, and follow us on social media to keep up with the latest news and episodes. You can also contact us at podcast@fueltalent.com to provide feedback, ask questions, and share topics or guests you would like us to cover in the future. We hope you feel inspired by our guests and that we have helped fuel your day. Join us next time for another episode of What Fuels You.